Are you the kind of person who have a lot of questions but prefer not to ask them so they don't look silly? Do you have a lot of questions but you prefer to ask someone else's perspective instead of sitting down and learning it for yourself? In this part 4, to become a better speaker, my focus is on you to start learning more. Now keep in mind that if you want to be a speaker, you want to be someone who knows more about a topic than most people. And that's the purpose of giving speeches. Now, in order to know more, you have to learn more. And that brings me to my one word, which is learn. You cannot expand your growth mindset if you're not learning. Because keep in mind that if you stop learning, you'll be the same person in 10 years than you are right now. If you want to make a better world, you may as well start learning now. Welcome to this channel. My name is Alain Faber, and we are doing a 10-part series on how to become a better speaker. I find that it is important for us to be better speakers because we all know amazing information. We all have a superpower. And once we find our voice and feel comfortable about communicating what we know, we can make the world a better world. So stay with us. When you think about learning, you think of school. But keep in mind that learning can happen every day if you have an open mind to it. Now, if you're in a school, little kids always ask great questions and then you answer them and it makes their day. Somehow, when you get to middle school and high school, students start asking less and less questions because they feel self-conscious about their questions and what are the other people thinking about them. Now, I know because sometimes when I am with adults and I ask questions, people sometimes look at me saying, well, this is a dumb question. Or they look at me and they say, oh, you just addressed the elephant of the room that we're not supposed to mention. Or someone will say, well, you asked a question that will have us have to make changes right now. And it happens all the time. There was a time when I stopped asking questions because I realized that if I wanted to fit in, I had to stop asking questions and start listening more so that I could better understand how things were. On the other hand, I realized that if you want to better understand the status quo, it is important to ask questions because with our society that is full of culture, full of traditions, we have immigrants coming from all over the world. It is important to ask questions because many people may not know the basis for some decisions that happened in the past, and we can help each other even more. Now, keep in mind that as a science teacher, I love to ask questions because any good inquiry project starts with a good question. And the beauty of the inquiry process is once you have a question, you have a hypothesis. And the hypothesis is based on what you know, and you're trying to answer the question based on your perspective. In science, we call it a hypothesis based on a situation. Now, in the real world, what happens is people have community knowledge and they have prejudice. It's the same thing. What is a prejudice? It is information or perspective based on your experience or what you know. Your perspective and prejudice can change if you have new information about what's happening. It's exactly the same thing as the scientific process. And I think that's why as I do my videos, you might notice that I use that process with respect to answering questions. In order to create better presentations, I do use the scientific project because that's easy. My question is, how can I make better presentations? And you know what? I came up with a 10-part series on how to become a better speaker. And I hope that this is helping you to achieve what you want to do with the knowledge you have to make a better world. The beauty about learning is once you start learning, it opens up new perspective and new information that you did not know about before. That opens up opportunities to meet new people. It opens opportunities to bring new knowledge and new perspective. And you know what? It is something that you have to keep in mind, because learning is the ultimate skill that you can carry all your life, so that you can make the world a better place throughout your whole life. And that includes your family environment, your community environment, and even our planetary environment. So I have 4 tips for you to find ways to learn more every day. When we want to learn something new, there's a process that I like to have. And the first one is pay attention to your environment, to your community, to what's surrounding you. And when you notice that there's something that you don't understand, or you're quite not sure about what's happening, or you're actually questioning the status quo, that brings up the possibility of asking a question. So my first tip to be able to learn is to ask good question. My second tip is about looking for different perspective related to the question you have. Now, I have done a lot of debate coaching, and when you coach debate, you have two perspective you have one question and two perspective. And the beauty of that is that you need to debate or be able to debate both sides. So that means that when you come up with a question that requires you to learn something new, try to learn not from one perspective. Look at what you can figure out from your perspective, but think about the fact that there are other perspective related to gender, related to ethnicity, related to territorial tradition, religion, even areas where you're from. And that's interesting, because once you consider that there might be several perspectives on the question you will have an answer that is not related to only one aspect of who you were at the beginning of asking that question, but you will actually learn from several different perspectives. And you'll notice that's how you become more specialized, and that's when you gather the knowledge to be a very good speaker. My third tip is, once you have your question and you look at different perspectives, I want you to find or reflect on possible solutions related to the different perspective. And the beauty of that is, most people, they like to talk about stuff. They rarely want to discuss solution. And therefore, if you have a question, learn about perspective and consider solutions for the different perspective. Think about the growth mindset that this brings to the situation. You'll be able to step back a little bit and have a very good view on the question. And you know what? You might find that one or two of those solutions are great, and you'll want to talk about it either to your city, to your community, to your family. And guess what? The world will be a better place. Your family will be a better place. This is amazing. And my fourth tip is the following. It is to repeat the process over and over again. So it's easy. You have a question, consider different perspective by learning from it, think and reflect on different solutions, and fourth, repeat the process, because when you have solutions or you look at different perspective, you'll see new questions will happen, and that will be how you will grow as an individual and have the necessary knowledge and confidence to speak. So here's my call to action for today. My call to action is for you to think about a question you had today or yesterday that had no answer at that time. Could be about the people, relationships, situation in your city, community, or political situation in your area. Try to learn about the different perspective. And this might require you to do some reading, some research on the internet, to call someone that knows about the situation, and then reflect on possible solutions to solve that problem or answer that question. Because think about it, if we sometimes feel overwhelmed by so many questions or so many unanswered questions, that process will allow you to take a question, possibly find solutions, offer solutions by practicing your presentation skills, and guess what? This opens up possibly new questions. not to be overwhelmed, but for the fact that by answering one question, you are progressing. And we want to progress and make the world a better place. And I know that you can do it. I'm gonna put here the link to my playlist for how to become a better speaker. I'll see you in the next video.